Hi, Garth Ennis here to talk to Forbidden Planet TV about the Authority Omnibus Volume 2.
Welcome to I'm going to keep that in. I was going to go welcome to the Forbidden Planet and realize that I never say that. It's actually welcome to Forbidden Planet TV. It must be the stress of going through the arched window to meet my old pal, Garth Ennis. How are you, pal?
Pretty good. I seem to be shifting windows.
Yeah, no, right. Who knows? There might be more in your future. There are at least three. It's good to see you, mate.
You too.
Recently, yeah, it's always good to see you. Sorry, I was talking over you. My enthusiasm, always good to see you, brother. The only way that we can improve this conversation is if this was Guinness and not a pint of water.
Yeah, no arguments there.
But on an abstemious water chugging note, funnily enough, you and I very recently were talking about your comment to me was, what a pity it is that your work on the authority, your various Kev stories
Hmm.
had not been collected of late. To which my response was, yeah, I absolutely love those books and really enjoy them. And lo and behold, DC, no doubt via the power of the internet, were listening in on our conversation. So they've just scheduled the Authority Omnibus Volume 2, which, among many other things, features all of your Kev stories.
That's right.
I
It seems like a huge book. I think it's going to be something like 1,600 pages.
Right on. It is massive.
And
Yeah.
my contribution, along with Glenn Fabry and Carlos Esquerra, is only going to be well, about 320 or so. So this
Amazing.
thing's going to be a slab. It's going to be
Yeah.
crazy. But yes, I'm delighted to say that after many years, uh, because I think Kev originally saw print between 2000 and 2005. Uh, the Kev stories that I did with, first of all, co-creator Glenn Fabry and then Carlos Esquerra, are going to be back in print, which is nice.
Yeah. Which is
Because
amazing.
Kev remains one of my favorite characters and the stories among some of my favorite work. So I'm delighted to see it's back.
Yeah, that makes two of us, mate. And for the uninitiated, can you talk a bit about the world of the authority and who Kev is and how he fits into that? Because this is what I particularly love about this concept.
Yeah. So the authority, I think most people know what the authority is. They're the sort of beyond superheroes, whose job it is to watch over the planet, and pass judgment on humanity, all this kind of thing. Um, the point is they were, I suppose, politicized superheroes. Warren Ellis originally created them, and Warren always wanted to go a bit further with what he was saying in comics and not just have black and white battles of good versus evil. It was always the gray area in between. There was always that nuance, and it was always very high concept too. I also found it a bit po-faced. I always thought that impressive though these stories were, they took themselves so very, very seriously. Um,
A fair criticism, I think.
yeah, it's not even a criticism
A
necessarily,
fair
because
comment, perhaps. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, because we are talking about beings that are or have set themselves above humanity and given themselves the right to pass judgment upon said species. And so you need that slightly beyond human quality to the characters. You need that kind of narration that speaks of, I suppose, moral and intellectual superiority.
yeah,
And at the time, I think we're going back 25 years here. I think I really did find that a lot of the superhero comics that I was seeing did reflect this kind of thinking. Um, Everyone's credentials in social or political terms were perfect. No one ever put a foot wrong. Everyone said exactly the right thing. Everyone's motives, um, and morals were, if not pure, then what a progressive might call ideal. Uh, and like most progressive ideals, they didn't necessarily have much to do with the reality of everyday life for most people. That, I suppose, is where Kev came from. Kev Hawkins is an ex-SAS, British Special Forces, assassin who is pretty good at the job and pretty awful at life. He's cursed by bad luck. Things go wrong for him uh, at a kind of steady rate that accelerates throughout the stories. He came from the kind of SAS fiction and memoirs that were rife at the time, and probably still are, that began with people like Andy McNabb and Chris Ryan. Um, that I think in the early 90s, as of the Gulf War, had started to sort of seize hold, certainly of the British imagination. And I think really since then, everybody else's. Um, it's it's a sort of a style that's ripe for parody. You and I have talked about what Peep Show made of it, among other things, and what
Oh,
Alan Partridge
yeah,
made of it. That guys like that would obviously be Alan's heroes.
yeah,
And while I certainly have a degree of admiration for people who can pull off the kind of things that those guys do, the thought of them immediately turning around and getting a book deal and hopefully a movie deal after they've left the service, I guess I found something amusing about that. I suppose other people did too. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had Tropic Thunder.
right on. Yeah,
Remember
absolutely.
Tropic Thunder? What is it? 8 men went on the mission, five came back, four got book deals, three got movie deals, two got made. This is the story of one
Yeah,
that got made. So it was that side of ex-special forces culture that I suppose I was looking at with Kev.
yeah,
And it seemed to me that it was the perfect sort of down at heel, piss takey approach that would contrast so sharply with the higher ideals of the authority. I suppose ultimately it comes down to my suspicion about the kind of people who genuinely make a difference in the world. If we're talking about people who solve the problems with
yeah,
violence, I can't believe in superheroes, but I can certainly believe that there's some leather jacketed, pint swilling ne'er-do-well sitting in the corner of the pub who probably has the ability to take you out with just his little finger,
yeah.
but who at that point is down on his luck and is waiting for something to turn up. And I guess that's Kev. And that went from, gosh, Glenn and I did a special, then a 4 issue miniseries, then Carlos and I did two more of 5 issues each. It just kept going because I kept finding things about the whole ridiculous setup that made me laugh. Mm.
I think you tapped into it. I think the great thing about it is that you took something that feels to me like a very you concept,
Mm.
which is examining those kind of self-made, self-proclaimed SAS heroes and
Hmm.
comparing it to the regular everyday reality. So no matter how high level these guys are, they're regular people who go to the pub and have, regular problems. Countering that with the world of the authority, I think that's
Yeah.
the masterstroke. I don't think anybody else would have thought of, do you know what? This is my authority idea. I'm going to do this. That from the first issue, I thought, hey, this is great. It's pure you.
Yeah, it's
But
taking the piss,
yeah, yeah,
really.
absolutely.
And that's something that is, I suppose, sort of occurred to me at the time. For every Andy McNabb, who's probably put out 30 or 40 books at this point and had movies made and, appears as a
Yeah,
special consultant, and there's probably 2 dozen guys who just didn't have the good fortune and, I suppose, nous to figure out that they could monetize their experiences.
yeah,
The guys who got stuck in the pub, that's Kev.
yeah.
In fact, one of his friends, one of his best friends, Bob, I think is an Andy McNabb type of published author. And I think in the first issue we found out that he's soon to be bringing out the SAS cookbook. which actually I think they say it's Bistro 20, but in the original script it was Bisto 20. But not knowing what the hell Bisto is, the
Yeah.
American editor would have thought it was a typo, corrected it to Bistro, and that works fine. That works fine too. Yeah. And at one point, I think Kev says to Bob, I've been looking at this and it's all bollocks. You made half of this up. And he's like, I know, mate. I don't give a fuck. No one else was going to give me £1 million. Bob, I think the attitude of people like Bob is that all you get for your years of service, if you survive, are, a series of long healed wounds and PTSD. No one else is looking out for you, so why not? Yeah. And that again ties into what Kev's all about, that sort of slightly askew way of looking at the subject.
Let's return briefly to another great love of yours, British World War II comics. You've just finished a great run on Battle Action, which we
Hmm.
will talk about in another edition. But you've got a signing coming up, haven't you, mate, for Forbidden Planet?
That's right. That's at Forbidden Planet Camden, Inverness Street.
Yeah, Inverness
Uh,
Street. Yeah, just by Camden Town Tube.
that's right, on Saturday, the 23rd of August.
Yeah,
And
brilliant.
that's with my pals, Rob Williams and Keith Burns.
The great Rob Williams and the brilliant Keith Burns.
Yeah,
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Aviation Artist of the Year, 2 years in, 2 years on the bounce,
that's right. Yeah.
and
Uh,
utterly
wh-
well deserved.
oh, absolutely. I mean, the quality of his work is just stunning. And
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned, he's the answer to a prayer. Not that I pray, but when it comes to war comics, what I always needed was someone on the art side of things who's just as dedicated, i.e., demented
yeah.
about the whole thing as I am on the writing side of things. And Keith's it.
Well, he is supremely knowledgeable about World War II aircraft, as you and I both know,
Mm.
and he's the best possible kind of truly phenomenally talented artist in that he's a supremely nice man as well. So
That he is. And
so
Rob's okay too.
and yeah, the lovely Rob Williams, uh, nobody wears a better pair of denim shorts than Rob Williams, in my opinion.
I think over that we might have to draw a discreet veil.
But
Although
certainly his work is amazing.
at this point, how discreet is it really?
How discreet is it indeed? And currently doing some amazing work across the board on many comics. He's done lots of great stuff on Battle Action, which again we'll talk about. But he's who did he do who did he create in the last round? Did he do Major
Um,
Easy?
he covered Major Easy,
Yeah,
who he'd also written in the previous five issue
that's right.
mini.
Yeah,
First time with Henry Flint, second time with PJ Holden.
yeah.
He did El Mestizo.
Oh, that was great.
This
That was
time.
fantastic.
Yeah, I thought that was terrific actually with Henry Flint and Henry, who really is 2000 AD's Jewel in the Crown. I
Yeah,
think
there
did
can be no
something
doubt.
incredible on that El Mestizo strip. Oh, absolutely wonderful job. And of course, on the first mini series, the 5 issue one, Rob and PJ also teamed up on Death Squad, and it's interesting that all three of these are created by our good pal Alan Hebden.
Yes, absolutely right. The great
Yeah.
Alan Hebden.
Yes, the
Yeah.
incredible Alan Hebden. Let's see, El Mestizo along with Carlos Esquerra, also Major Easy, and Death Squad with the great Eric Bradbury.
Yeah. No, no finer group of people. I think it's going to be a highly collegial and enjoyable signing. If you're into your World War II comics, as we both are, and as Rob and Keith are, I think it will be a great signing. That's 2 p.m. on Saturday, the 23rd of August. And if you're turned on hearing about the greats of yesteryear, like our pal Alan, you'll also find elsewhere on the channel the panels that Garth and I did recently, the Ennis Skill and Comic Fest. One
Right.
is with all the Garth and all the creators of Battle Action, and then the other is with all the original creators, most of whom are still living of Battle Picture Library. And Alan's on there, the great John Wagner's on there, the brilliant Jerry Finley Day is on there. Yeah,
That
Mike
would
Dory,
be
he was
Battle
there too.
Picture Weekly, I suppose.
Battle
Picture
Picture
Library
Weekly,
being the
yeah,
little uh, digest size
Yeah,
things. Yeah,
spot on, mate. I should have known better, but you're absolutely right. Yeah. No, and you'll find both of those interviews. And if you're into your British World War II comics, they're well worth checking out. As is the Authority Omnibus, which personally I would buy only for the Kev stories. And the Kev stories are 300 pages plus of it. So well worth doing. Can be pre-ordered from the links attached to this conversation. And mate, why don't you come back on in the near future? Well, clearly we're busting to talk about more battle action. So let's talk about maybe some Preacher and some battle action next time around. Sound
sounds
good?
good. Sounds very good.
All right, brother. You take care. I'll see you soon.
You too.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.